Okay, there we are. All right, I think we're live. I believe we're live. Dad, are we live?
We are live.
Okay, thanks. I never know because I'm out of practice, and I'm going to wait here for a second and see if we get some people on. But I'm going to encourage people that after you watch this video and you go out and you do this research yourself, that you would please, 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 please help me take some action on this. Because honestly, I'm getting really tired of hearing about Arizona. Like there's states I hardly ever hear any cases coming out. Like I don't think I've ever had anybody contact me from like Idaho or Maine or some of these other off states that are smaller in population, but you get in places like Arizona and for some reason Kansas, which is a corrupted heartland, and Michigan and Alabama. There is this amazing corruption. I mean, Alabama, we just posted recently that there was a drug lab that was intentionally falsifying drug testing results. Oh my, oh my. But all the sheeple out there say, well, you got a positive drug test. You deserve to get your kids taken away because they've forgotten the fundamental American position that absolute power or power can never be trusted in the hands of fallible human beings. And so we should always be on guard. So when people say you just got to trust the government, I'm sorry, that is not an American philosophy. It's never been part of our DNA as Americans to trust the government, which is why we created a systems of checks and balances. And it's why we hold these truths, because I think there is um, some powerful words in that statement, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And I know that, the fact that it says men is probably going to trigger some people, but understand when they're writing in that time, when they said men, they were saying the same thing as humanity. All humanity was created equal, and that they are endowed, they are granted and given by their creator, not by their government, not even by the Constitution, but by their creator. It's an inherent thing in us that we have unalienable rights, which means cannot be alienated. You cannot have those rights taken away from you. And those rights, as we know, begin with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And unfortunately, for so many people that have gotten the displeasure of dealing with Gestapo, Department of Children and Family Services tactics and corruption and malfeasance and uh, judicial manipulation and injustice and constitutional rights violations and secrecy and gag orders, realize that those courts don't believe we have unalienable rights. They don't believe them. They believe that they can create a cause and effect of circumstances that take away your rights. And so recently, I got some notes here because I've been doing some research and I missed y'all. How's everybody doing? Just as a little update, I guess. I do want to let people know that you can call in. We're going to try this. It's been a while since we've done this, so um, I'm not sure how many calls we're going to be able to take, but we're going to try. And specifically, we want you to call in if you know information about the Melissa Deagle case, if you're familiar with her, and we're not here to bash her. If you have actual facts that we're missing, please share them, because we want to get the truth out. And I'm about to share what I believe is going on from my research. And I've talked to quite a few people today, and some of those people have had some caution about Melissa because of, after the termination of her parental rights, she went through a really hard time. And I can tell you that, we were blessed, Ted. That whole thing just shifted. Um, Anyways, I got sidetracked. So
messing with you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I got to shift my camera and figure this out. I'm in my car because I've been at work all day. I've been wanting to do this live update because Facebook is actively blocking me as normal, but they started as soon as I shared this Melissa Deagle video, which led me to believe that something really was going on with this, and I began to dig into it a little more. But yeah, we took some time off. I've been working a lot. I mean, just to tell you, for today to get this live update done, a few days ago, I left on Friday or Saturday morning for Kansas. We drove all the way to Kansas through Saturday. Sunday, all day graduation party with our second oldest son, which is pretty amazing because the state tried really hard and people tried really hard to alienate this young man from us. And praise God, he's moving home and he's coming back to Colorado. And I really praise God that he's turning what these people tried to do for evil in our life for good. And that hasn't, there's a different story with Melissa that we need to talk about, but we'll get to that. So, anyways, after the graduation, we drove back on Monday. Then yesterday, I worked almost 14-hour day. Today, I worked almost a 13-hour day. So I am wiped out. I haven't even had a break. And, that's the challenge of doing activism. Fortunately, my older son and I, Tyler, we are starting to contract. And the point of me contracting is so A, we can be funded better. B, I'll have flexibility in my schedule to get more involved in this activism in my own state because there's some crazy corrupt things going on here in Colorado, and yeah, they need to be addressed. But as I've been working this much and we moved and got a new house and just it's been really tough to do any live updates. And I was trying to do it on a schedule, where I had a scheduled time, and we're not going to do that anymore. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to do a video when I'm capable of doing it. Then we're going to cut it to a podcast and we're going to put it on YouTube. I think right now we're streaming live on YouTube. We're going to try to make sure it goes Twitter, YouTube, 2 Facebook channels, and because I think our country is in a place right now that's very, very critical, and we're seeing that. We are seeing a political scenario play out that I think is unlike anything that has happened in American history. And what happens over this next election cycle, not only for the presidency, but for the Senate and the House and the state elections, um, is going to determine the destiny of our country and whether or not we completely lose our freedom or we turn back this tide of corruption. And so let me give you a little background about Melissa. And I'm going to read from here. Now, if anyone wants to learn about Melissa Deagle, I would encourage you to go Google her name, Medical Kidnap. She wrote with Terry LaPointe. Terry LaPointe covered her story pretty intensely. And Melissa even wrote a lot. And I really believe this is why she got her rights terminated. Melissa has put a lot of information out into the public realm. She was gag ordered. Yeah, go figure that. You know, how common is that? I don't know why we didn't get gag ordered, but people have a right to free speech. Not if you're in family court. And my lights are going out. And so these devils hide under, oh, we have to protect the kids. No. What you're doing is protecting your criminal cartel of trafficking children under the guise of child protection for Title IV incentives. And Melissa Deagle, her case was one of those cases before ours that really brought to the forefront. It's when Terry LaPointe really started some of her writing, and this medical kidnap was following the story. I don't know if Terry was specifically on this one, but medical kidnap was, and the country was really starting to wake up that this CPS corruption, DCF corruption, Department of Family, Department of Children and Families, whatever you call it, were trafficking children. They were doing it in conjunction with a lot of these children's hospitals. The Justina Peltier case, who Marty, Free Marty G, is doing 10 years in prison for hacking Boston's Children's Hospital because they were holding a little girl hostage while she was dying from her parents. And he hacked it and put Free Justina, and he got 10 years in prison. The people that tortured this little girl, nothing happened. But there's these things are going on in children's hospitals. And so Phoenix Children's Hospital in the state of Arizona really went after Melissa. And Melissa took on her own defense, kind of like we did, and they retaliated. And the judge, I want you to look up this judge. I think she's retired now. I don't know. I find it hard to believe she's not involved in DCF, even as an advisor. I didn't have enough time to research, but her name is Judge Colleen McNulty or McNally. She was also the judge on the Shores or Showars case, those children where Arizona went clear to Nevada to kidnap those children again. Same judge, same corrupt judge. This is also the judge that she brought all these judges in because they wanted to speed up the termination process. I mean, we're not kidnapping children fast enough. So we need 17 judges to help us push out these terminations so we can fill up our coffers with Title IV Social Security funds because they get money for these kids. Research that. So look up this judge. Her fingers are in everything. Okay. So these people were being challenged in a way they never had before. And Melissa was cognizant. She made very strong arguments. I believe she really believed she was going to win because the evidence was on her side. See, this saying we hold these truths, this whole preamble is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's about what those rights look like. And one is a jury of our peers, and we can't be deprived of our liberty or our property without due process. Well, they say our children don't belong to us, and it's a civil matter, so you don't get the same um, process as you would get in a criminal uh, proceeding, like a jury. Some states you get it, a lot of them you don't. You get a judge and a corrupt DCF and corrupt doctors and corrupt counselors, all that are getting kickbacks or they're getting patient after patient making false diagnoses. They're all working in correlation together to keep these kids and traffic these kids. And we've been over this time and time again, but for people who haven't heard these things before, I really want you to dig into this because I think Melissa needs help. And I think she needs your help. And I think she needs my help. And I think this family, and she has been through so much. Um, Currently, we have some trolls going on all these posts about Melissa Deagle getting arrested again and saying she's getting arrested for all these crazy things. I have seen no documentation besides the county jail that she's sitting in saying that she is being held on a governor's warrant, which means the governor of Arizona petitioned the governor of Florida to extradite her to Arizona. And people are like, oh, the two governors signed it. That means she must have did something bad. No, the governor's warrant process is a rubber stamp process unless Melissa challenges extradition. Okay. So it doesn't mean anything. It means somebody really high up, she's pissed them off. And let me back up. So Melissa went through this process and she lost her kids. Unlike us, and I tremble at thinking about it. I don't know where we would be if our rights had been terminated. I'm sure I would still be fighting. I don't know. It's very devastating on the psyche of a parent that hasn't abused or neglected their kids to lose the right to their kids forever based on lies, corruption, manipulation of the legal process, the inability to get effective counsel, people lying, doctors lying, secret reports, drug tests being falsified in labs, Alabama. Okay. So while we were going through our case, we saw that Melissa was still active and she was going through a really hard time. We tried to make contact a few times. You know, she was getting online saying people were coming in her house, people were moving stuff around. It really looked like she was losing her mind, and maybe she was. I don't know. It's devastating. And Melissa, if you see this, please don't be offended. I don't know what was going on that time. Now that I'm seeing what they're doing to her, I'm wondering if people were actually gang stalking her. I think they probably were and trying to drive her crazy because she offended these people. And they have memory like elephants. They want to retaliate. How dare you challenge them trying to traffic your children? How dare you? And they were going to crush her and make her an example because that's what used to happen prior to the internet being as strong as it is. If you tried to go up against CPS, you'd end up in jail on false charges. You'd end up suicided. I mean, they would ruin your life. You would lose your job and they'd go after you. But see, they've lost a lot of that ability with our ability to record, with our ability to leak documents to thousands of people instantaneously, millions if it goes viral. And these people are losing control of their criminal cartel that they've been running, pretty unopposed since 1996 when Hillary Clinton signed the Adoption and Safe Families Act, which began this whole cycle of child trafficking for federal incentives back in 1996. So she kind of disappeared off the radar, or I thought she did. But what I think really happened is Facebook was doing what they're doing and manipulating the algorithm. So people that I used to be connected with in activist circles, I don't see their posts anymore. And I thought they just disappear. I have so many friends and I get so many emails and calls and things of that nature about these issues that I can't keep up with everybody. And so if Facebook is cheating and not doing their job and working with law enforcement illegally to stop the spread of information like videos showing bogus arrests, Facebook, um, yeah, then it's really hard. But I wasn't able to keep up. And so last night, I had heard that she had gotten arrested, that she had moved out of the state of Florida or out of the state of Arizona and went to Florida. I don't know why she moved. I'm still looking for that information. I don't really know what happened. I know I've talked to a few people that I think have the ability to help, and they said that, that at that time that I'm talking about, they had a rough interaction with Melissa and they weren't sure how to respond. And I know she was going through a tough time, but they're looking into some things about the nature of this case. But as far as I know right now, nobody really knows what she was arrested for. Okay, so they're saying that she's getting arrested for child abuse charges, but Melissa's rights were terminated clear back in like 2015. Okay. Do you understand this, people? So here you have a woman that really smacked down and exposed the criminal corruption of Judge McNally. You're a criminal judge, ex-judge, or whatever you're doing, of Judge McNally and what she did to uh, Melissa's family and other families. But she really exposed that, and medical kidnap really exposed that. They retaliated, I believe, with um, terminating her rights, which they do to a lot of parents. If you push back against them and try to assert your rights, they'll retaliate. And then they try to drive her crazy, and then they drove her out of the state, but she wouldn't shut up. And as a matter of fact, so she's been in jail for like 2 months or something like that, a month, and just got out yesterday morning because the governor's warrant never came through. She posted a Facebook Live video, and they probably thought, see, now maybe we've scared her. Maybe she'll shut up. And she posted that video. Then later that evening, and I want you guys to watch this video to see how this officer is a liar. An officer or any law enforcement that's watching this, officer, you tried to say you weren't there to hurt her or do anything wrong. You're a liar because you lied to her through the door. You lied to her while you were there and you bullied the other person that was filming. So if you guys go watch this video, they're beating on the door saying, we have a warrant. And you can see her reaction. She has been in jail. She got out. She's free. They're beating on the door and they're saying, well, we have a warrant. Last time they said they had a warrant and they didn't have a warrant, is what she said. She said, I want to see the warrant. No, we're not going to show it to you till you open the door. Excuse me? If you got a warrant, let me see the damn warrant, officer. So they wouldn't show her the warrant and they start threatening her. Okay, ma'am, I'm going to serve this warrant by you opening this door or I'm going to come in your house. Basically, we're not going to show you anything, even though you just got out of jail and we could be wrong that this warrant could be old, that everything could be dismissed, but we're going to kick your door in. We're going to commit violence upon a non-violent mother that's had her rights terminated and her due process violated and been gag ordered and all this other stuff by a children's hospital involved in the taking of her children by a state that's known for SWAT teaming families because their kids have temperatures. Yeah. I don't know if you heard about that one recently. We even had an Arizona rep, Kelly Townsend, who was kicked and said she couldn't come in the courtroom and observe what was going on after a home or a family that didn't have vaccinated kids had a kid with a fever, and then they wanted a second opinion, and they took the kid home, and his fever was going down, and so DCF shows up at their door later that evening because of a pissed off doctor, and a SWAT team raids their house for a kid with a fever. That's Arizona DCF. And then they try to gag order people. And then they send out warnings to the media telling them to retract stories and stop talking about it. But you know what? We're not going to stop talking about it because what you guys are doing is criminal. And I think what's going on with Melissa Deagle is criminal. And until somebody shows me something different, I'm calling on everybody that watches this video to research her case. I'm calling on you that once you get the facts of the matter, that you feel comfortable enough to call up the governor of Arizona. If you go to A Miracle for Two Sisters, that's a Facebook page dedicated to her fight, or Melissa Deagle's own Facebook. There's some contact information for the governor's office of Arizona, and ask them politely, don't threaten, but say, what are you guys doing? You know, I'm from such and such state, and I want to let you know that we're paying attention, and we're not seeing that there's any real reason for you doing this. Why are you arresting citizens after terminating their rights for bogus charges? Because this, what I was saying. I mean, think about this. Her rights were terminated in 2015, but now they're coming after her for child abuse charges. Excuse me. And it's probably because she was leaking documents showing their lies. She was taking their court documents and saying, here's the lies they said, and here's the facts and proof. And that's all I've seen. So anyone that's got a beef with her, I haven't seen anything yet. And if she flipped out on you a little bit, I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings. But I'll tell you what, even if she flipped out on me, if I found out that a government was using U.S. Marshals and sheriffs to threaten to kick in people's doors, to drag them back to Arizona, to harass them because they were exposing corruption, I would fight for that person, because this is going to happen to all of us if we don't stand up and do something against these people's behavior. We got to, guys. We have to get involved. We have to expose them. Yep, right there. Thank you, Ted. There, Ted's trying to play with this while we're doing this. And so, anyways, I don't know if Facebook is going to try to throttle this one. I'm going to have it on YouTube and other platforms, and we're going to keep pushing this. And I want to encourage people to keep an eye on this, and we will keep you updated on this and action of what we can do to support this activist who has already been through a very heart-wrenching thing. And I'm telling you, Arizona is out of control. I just want to see. Okay, so she's in Ocala, Florida, in the Marion County Jail. I looked it up. It just says that she's in there under a governor's warrant. And so there's no other information that I can get at this time. I seen someone posting, oh, she's got 9 domestic violences, and shut up. Just shut up. I'm so tired of the trolls. Like, post documentation, okay? Because I'm telling you, if I get trolls getting on these videos saying she deserved it, or she's this, or she's that, and you don't post some kind of substantiation, I'm just going to block you from the platform. I'm tired of spending any energy on people that don't want to even do a minimal amount of research and just want to cause problems. Like, go away, because we need to do some real work here. Our country is in trouble. We hold these truths. We believe in these rights. They cannot be taken from us. But the problem is we have to fight for them. That there's going to be a struggle. We have to engage in the struggle for liberty. We have to engage in the fight to keep our freedom from people that want to enslave us and steal our kids and vaccinate our kids and poison them and give them doctrine and curriculum of sexualization through the public school system and kill babies that have been born. I mean, there's so much crazy stuff going on that's an attack on children, that's an attack on families, and it's intentional, people. I'm telling you. And we're going to get more into this. We're going to, I think, do a show on Saturday I'm going to do some updates, and we're going to talk about some news like the Alabama drug lab that's false. And I appreciate Alabama, you're arresting this lady. Good job. Thank you. You're doing your job. But what about all the people whose rights were terminated based on her fraud? But we'll get into that on Saturday. So Melissa was arrested February 19th. What? Oh no, I got the wrong one. Okay, so she was arrested back in February, got out of jail, and they rearrested her yesterday. And so we just need to get this out, and we need to try to help Melissa. And if you want to contact her at the jail, there's some contact information on the Miracle of Two Sisters. And I'm sorry that I'm so scattered, guys, but I am exhausted from the trip and the work and the drive. But really, I can't let this go. We really need you to share this video. We really need you to do the research and share stories about Melissa Deagle. We really need you to keep up on the updates, and we are going to try to help uh, shine light on what they're doing to her. Okay. Because I would want someone to do that for me if they came after my kids again. And if they come after your kids, we're going to do that for you. Okay. We're going to help you because you got to do it yourself. That was one thing about Melissa. She went out there and studied the law. She went out there and did the activism, and she still lost her kids, guys. But you know what? Honestly, I believe she probably would have lost them anyways. They had them targeted. Whenever a children's hospital is involved, a lot of times they have some kind of rare disorder or something that the hospital benefits through grants and their Title IV funding, or how they can put a disability on them, or how they can utilize them for experimental research, which they do. There are children's hospitals that kidnap sick kids because they have some kind of new therapy or treatment that they want to implement on this child. So they falsely accuse the parents of neglect, usually medical neglect, usually like failure to thrive, or you're not feeding them properly, or some other lie. But usually, whatever condition they're suffering from has been aggravated because what appears to be an incompetent doctor gave some course of treatment that made the child to decline, but it was actually intentional because they wanted to kidnap the child and put them in this experimental treatment. And then they get money for it, and then they get to try all these new drugs. And if you don't think it's happening, you're not paying attention. You're just not paying attention. You're asleep. Get off Netflix. Do some research, because you know what? It it's going. If there's one thing that you should learn from the study of history, is that if we ignore injustice upon our neighbors, if we turn a blind eye to growing corruption in positions of power, it is going to eventually come to our door. It will. It will come to your kids. If you don't have kids, it'll come to your grandkids. If you don't have grandkids, it'll come to your friends' kids. If you don't have friends, you need to get out more and get active and go to some protests and get some friends, because we need your help to fight this together, all of us. All right, that's my rant. I'm sorry. This Judge Colleen McNulty. Oh, yeah, one more update. So, even with my own case, all right, we have been done in my federal lawsuit. We've been done with pleading since I think October, and we're still waiting on a decision for a bunch of defendants filed 12B motions to dismiss based on jurisdiction issues and blah, blah, blah. We're still waiting for the judge to rule on that. And then come to find out, here's what's funny about my lawsuit. So when I filed my lawsuit the first time and they ended up throwing it out, I had a judge. His name was Judge Crabtree, out of the Kansas federal court system. And it's supposed to be randomly assigned judges. And I think there's like 11, 12, 16. I don't know. There's a lot. I'm too tired and I didn't look it up. But when I refiled my lawsuit, that doesn't mean you get the same judge again. That means you go back into the lottery and they pick, and you get the judge that comes through a random computer program that picks your judge. Well, guess what? I got Judge Crabtree again. And I thought, the statistical odds of me getting the same judge twice in 1 year for litigation that he already dismissed is pretty high. Statistically, I think it's pretty incredible if that was the computer that actually did that. But I thought to myself, there has to be a reason why they picked this judge. Well, a lot of the people that I'm going after are associated with people like Chris Kobach and Sam Brownback. And we all know that Sam Brownback and Chris Kobach were politicians that were funded by Koch Industries, Koch brothers money. Koch. They're billionaires that started the Tea Party movement or funded it a lot, and their hands are in politics all over the place. They live here in Colorado. They're involved for some reason a lot in Kansas politics, and they are the ones that are propping up politicians like Kobach. I think because the Koch brothers were giving Trump money is why Kobach keeps getting considered for all these different positions, because Trump's trying to put some Koch crony into a position of a cabinet position to please his donors or whatever. You know how politicians are. I don't think Trump's much different than the rest of them in a lot of ways. But anyway, so come to find out, long story long, Judge Crabtree used to be the chief litigating attorney for the Koch brothers. So not only did I get the same judge twice, he just happened to be involved with the same corrupt billionaires as their chief litigator, as the people, as their chief litigator. Yeah. And now he's my judge. And they're funding the people in their political campaigns in the state of Kansas that I'm fighting and that I'm suing. Now, could all of that be a coincidence? Yeah. It could. I mean, it really could. And you know, if this ever gets back to the judge, I hope it is. And I hope you judge justly and rightly and hold these child trafficking, lying, court manipulating people responsible. I even found out, I believe that one of the people I'm suing, and I won't say their name yet, but they'll know who they are, got busted having sex with attorneys in their office and lost their job. Probably having sex with those attorneys while they were trying to take my kids away. So while they were trying to take my kids away, they were banging attorneys in their office at work. These are the people that we're dealing with, guys. Okay. This is a level of corruption. So please don't be offended, Judge. I just find it an astonishing coincidence that I'm suing people funded by the Koch brothers and you used to be their chief litigator. I hope it doesn't cloud your judgment. I really do. But on the Deagle case, please stay updated. Please go on a miracle for two sisters. Please stay updated on the post and let's continue to blast this. Let's break through the censorship. Let's work on this together. And hopefully, we'll start getting rolling with some more shows and some more updates. And I'll have a little more free time once our contracting kicks off a little better. But we love you guys, and you were created with unalienable rights. They cannot be taken. Therefore, if someone is trying, they are wrong. They are an enemy of freedom. They are what we fought against to demonstrate that these rights are from God. And we need to put these people on notice that we're done. And we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to fight you. We're going to expose you. And we're hopefully going to stop you. But God bless y'all. I got to get home to my family and get some sleep. But stay updated and send us a message or an email to let us know if you have any